So Flame over here decided to just drop 25 new maps in one day, all of which are just to test out what is the most terrible surface to drive on. Man, that's almost as many bad surfaces as the new Trackmania game has. Alright, here on map 1, looks like we're driving on some girders. Luckily the hitbox seems to be fairly flat on these, so at least your wheels aren't falling through all the gaps. But it does seem a bit unpredictable jumping from one beam to the next. Alright, number 2, looks like we're driving on glass panes. I'm kind of surprised that glass surfaces are so uncommon in this game. They do make for kind of interesting slippery texture. Also, I guess you can get a lot more grip just by driving on the seam in the middle. But unfortunately, I guess you can just cut right through on this one, so you don't even really need to drive on the glass. Number 3, I think these are just supposed to be like walls that appear in the middle of the track, but I guess if you tilt them forward, they are able to be driven on. You know, I feel like one of the hardest parts of this is just getting over this first bump. I mean, the blocks start off pretty dense, but the further down you go, the gaps get a little bit wider, so it's easier to get stuck or just fall through. And it looks like we're already starting to lose people on this marathon. Ogre says he can't imagine anyone being bored enough to make maps like this, but based on the maps he's made, I find that hard to believe. Number 4, I have no idea what the heck we're driving on right now. So it seems like clipping through objects is the name of the game here. You're very likely to flip upside down or clip through the floor. Actually, you know what? This is Cup of the Day worthy. Let's get this imported and then watch this get played competitively. I have no idea what these blocks are even supposed to be, but based on their collision, I don't think they were ever intended to be part of the track. Alright, map number 5. This one's a little bit more straightforward at least. We're just driving over the top of pumpkins. Clearly the suspension in F1 cars are really built for this kind of off-roading. Oh, and I just fell into the jack-o'-lantern. Hello? Is there any way out of here? Alright, number 6. Looks like we are riding over a big pile of charcoal or something. Be careful about falling into a crevice, because you're not going to make it back out after that. Let's zoom out and see what this map is actually made of. Oh. Alright, I guess we're just driving on spiders. So I don't know, you guys decide. Is it worse to drive on ice or on spiders? Okay, map number 7. Are we just driving on a big pile of tires? Okay, I guess they're not quite tires, they're just curve-shaped blocks. Although Bob over here is really asking for a ban. Alright, this block isn't so terrible, I guess, as long as the blocks are close together. But again, the further you go down, the more they get spaced out, so you just fall through these surprise gaps. Okay, map number 8. Looks like we're driving on letters. I guess the whole track is made out of GPS text blocks. I keep driving on GPS signs, but none of them are showing me how to finish the map. Now remember what I said about the first map? How it's kind of nice that the hitbox on those is flat, so your wheels don't fall through the little gaps? Well, that's kind of the opposite on this one. Every little edge on these letters, you can just bounce right off of that. Alright, we're up to our 9th surface. Actually, this is probably one of the easiest ones we've seen so far. These tent roofs are actually not too uncommon to see in regular maps. I think one of the most annoying things about so many of these is just not knowing that there's a little gap ahead of you, though. You'll go straight for a jump, and then there'll be nothing on the other side. Map number 10. These blocks don't really seem possible to drive over. I guess we'll just have to pull our trusty drive backwards technique. Which is a tip to all new players out there. If you ever see any kind of bumps or walls that you really need to get over and you're having a hard time driving over them, it's almost always easier to just do it in reverse. I feel like we're just running track and jumping hurdles in reverse in a race car. Alright, surface number 11. I'm not entirely sure what you're supposed to do to get through these. I mean, are you supposed to just Tony Hawk grind across the whole thing? Oh, okay, never mind. There's a couple little gaps that you can drive right through. Although there is an engine cutoff hidden in there, so don't lose too much speed hitting the wall. At first I thought this would be hard, but it turned out to be one of the easier ones so far. Alright, number 12, now we're talking. We're just driving from ramp to ramp. Looks like you had to do some customization to remove the road piece that this ramp is usually attached to, but I'd say this one is relatively less painful. Seems like the kind of map that'd be fun to hunt some shortcuts. Alright, number 13, looks like we're driving on certain stadium roof pieces, or whatever the heck this block is supposed to be. I'd say this is one of the most drivable tracks I've seen so far. You can actually almost go full speed through the whole thing. Map number 14. What the heck is this? Just a big pile of rubble? Alright, I guess we just drive up this rocket, drop to another rocket. I'm honestly kind of confused on where we're even supposed to go here. These pieces feel a little bit slippery. I know they look like these big fancy rockets, but it kind of feels like I'm just doing some big pipe transfers. Man, this is actually one of the hardest ones so far. I don't even know if I'm gonna finish. Alright, this is the first map I've had to extend on, so I guess driving on rockets is the worst surface to drive on. Alright, with number 15, looks like we're really getting into Tony Hawk grinding territory now. These railing pieces are already some of the glitchiest pieces that you can drive on. It's really easy to just get stuck in them. I like how the maps that force you to just jump in and pray. They always require you to do it twice so that you can't just get one lucky jump and get a good time. Moving on to number 16, we've got some big giant bowls. Hey, this one's actually not so bad. It's like driving through a skate park. Just transferring from bowl to bowl. Luckily, the rims of these things don't stretch all the way up 90 degrees, so it is kind of simple to just jump from one to the next. I'm not entirely sure what this block is supposed to be. I guess it's just another sort of stadium decoration piece. But overall, I would say it's probably one of the more enjoyable maps so far. Alright, number 17. What in the world is this? It's one of those maps where you just have to kind of chuck yourself at it and hope for the best. We're just driving over these tiny little fence posts where the hitboxes don't lie at all. You're gonna bounce all over the place. You can try taking it slow, but it's just gonna take you forever. Your best bet is to just drive full speed and hope you can bounce over all of it. And then also hope you don't fall through the cracks. Not too hard to finish, but definitely hard to get a smooth run. Okay, we're on to our 18th surface, which looks like we're just driving on top of poles. But it's not too bumpy, I guess. It's just kind of narrow. It's pretty weird driving full speed along the top of these, even trying to drift along the top. I think this is one that people are going to actually try hunting quite a bit. Number 19. Oh goody, this looks like it'll be really fun to drive on. This kind of feels like if you just built an entire road out of speed bumps, and then put those speed bumps in every random direction too. Again, I don't really know where I've seen this piece before. Maybe it's supposed to be some sort of like pipe connector piece. Just another random piece of scenery that was never really meant to drive on. I guess the strategy on a lot of these is just drive full speed, chuck yourself at it, hope you can bounce over a lot of distance, and then slowly crawl over the rest. Man, imagine hunting world record on these. Alright, map 20. Are we driving through mountains, or is this just one big used napkin? Oh man, there's so many little crevices that you can just get stuck in. You think you found a route when you're getting over ridges, and then you just fall into a big hole and you can never get out. Luckily, it looks like the best way is to just cut along the very far edge. Somehow the most direct way is also the one with the least obstacles. Map 21. What, are we just driving on Doritos here? Man, with this one, if you lose momentum, you're pretty much stuck. You've got to have a lot of momentum taking you upwards and forwards, because if you fall backwards with not enough speed, you're just kind of stuck in the crack. Alright, let's try out map number 22. This is probably one of the strangest looking ones. So first we gotta drive over these towels, or I guess these are supposed to be ghosts tipped on their side. And then we move on to this invisible road with lit up candles all over the place. And then finish it off by these kind of glitchy tiny ramps. Also, the candles in the middle are really throwing off the lighting in this. Like if the camera is pointed towards these candles, it makes everything else look really dark. Kind of an interesting little obstacle map though. Alright, we're up to number 23. We're almost through these. So again, this one seems fairly normal. We're just kind of driving on signs. They're not that slippery, they're not that bumpy, it's just a really narrow drive. But it looks like it is possible to cut just bouncing off of this checkpoint though. So again, it looks like another map people are going to be hunting. Alright, number 24, we're driving on a bunch of pipes. I guess as long as your wheels don't slip in between them, it's not so bad. And then once they're put close together, there's really nothing making it difficult. It's mainly just this one stretch that your wheels just always seem to fall through. And we've made it to number 25, which is made up entirely out of the invisible track with the floating candles. I'm betting that the reason behind this is just that if you want to put these candles out, the plane that they are attached to has its own collision, and so if you want to put an invisible track, it just kind of has to have all of the candles attached to it. But luckily we made it through all 25 of these, and now I'm right back up to 100% maps completed. Let me know what you thought was the absolute worst surface to drive on.